To protect and guide me. Yes, yes, I said. Yes, yes, just said. So I see I the what.
From Islington St. Mary to Hilltop Records and ultimately dancehall stardom, he's known for flipping rhymes and proving he's bad from him born. Munga Honorable is a dancehall DJ, music producer, and CEO of Hilltop Records. Today we're really grateful that Munga can actually join us. Munga, good afternoon and welcome. You hear that?
Yes, me,
Yeah,
I
may I
hear
see you? Look here, everything clear. May I see you? May I hear you? No, Munga, before we start, I know you were supposed to be on like some weeks ago, and boy, may I tell you, say, when you don't come
yes.
on, the people them disappointed, and me I say, yo,
So
fire,
after so my apologies to the viewers, the fans, the supporters of IRFM of Munga Honorable of dancehall music, of reggae music of Jamaica. My apologies for
Yes.
my absence. Due to my fault, So I can't this one say my fault. I said, take up on the road to success, I say, pay your traffic tickets. The law has
Yes.
taken up this traffic ticket situation very seriously now. And I was notified that I had warrants on that Thursday. So me that try multitask this year, I could have run in and go pay more at them same time and do my interview.
Yeah.
But I never know say the process would take that long and you had to lock off phone and you'd have to go around so it mashed up the whole program. But I went and I
Jaja.
cleared my warrants, I paid my outstanding tickets, and here we are
Yes.
today.
Hey. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Hey, look at them, man. So, of course, Munga, we want to kickstart with your foundation. So, describe for us, growing up and where did you grow up?
One place named Islington St. Mary upon Hilltop. I went to Roadside Basic School, that's on Roadside Road. I went to Hillside Primary, that's in Friendship in the square. I left there in the 5th grade. I went to St. Mary High School. I did 3 years. I did 2 years at St. Mary High School. I transferred to Kingston. I did finished high school at Tarrant Comprehensive. And I entered the music at 18, where I did Red Label Superstar Song Competition. And this is me
Wow.
from there.
Wow. Kind of give us an idea, though, like what type of child was Damian Roden?
As you can hear, I'm kind of articulate.
Yes.
Yeah, I consider myself quite articulate. So I read, I played football, I played basketball. Yeah, I'm very good at home. I can do what I need to do at home. Because I grew up with my grandmother, So cook, clean, we know if you do them something there from little boy days.
Early.
We live at Islington St. Mary. We live 10 minutes from Portmore Beach. We live 15 minutes from Robbins Bay Beach. There are multiple rivers around, so we can swim. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We grew up living like a child, knowing, full enjoying life. And then even getting older, we could realize that I had a very good childhood.
Amazing. So getting into music at the age of 18 now, take us back to that significant or defining moment, and what was that thing that drew you to music?
Big up Mr. Nugent, big up Lalumba, my uncle. So I left Kingston at 18, made a visit to Islington St. Mary for a weekend, and that weekend became a career. So I'm going to a country and him say, Mr. Nugent come and he say, I have a song he would have like if we could do the song to enter this competition. I rewrote the song, we recorded the song, we sent in the entry, and the entry was replied to as good to go. That's where I met Lantoinette Steins. I met Nigel Starr for the first time in 1998. The whole Rough Cut band I met at that time. And first, we came to rehearsals at Mixing Lab. So may I say now the entrails are the beginnings of what an artist really go through. This is rehearsal at the legendary mixing lab studio. I'm rehearsing with the legendary Rough Cut Band. The first time, the first performance of them people I work with.
That's amazing. And then, even Lantoinette Steins, like you mentioned, what was that experience
I'm
like?
done. Listen to
Yeah.
that, bro. I'm done.
Yeah. No, that was good company. But what was it like for you though, Munga? Because of your first time, was it nerve wracking? How did you contain your nerves?
I've always been one. I've always been one that knows that calm is clear. You can't see in the water unless the water is calm. So I've always learned to breathe. I used to do cadet at St. Mary High School. So I learned breathing. So I always know, say, if you just take the first 3 breaths and relax, then you will see clearly what's going on around you. And she said to me, perform, let me see. And I ran out there and I did my thing. And she said, the only thing I want you to do is own the 4 corners of the stage.
The stage.
And I've kept that with me for the last 25 years. If you see me on a stage, you see I try to be everywhere on the stage. I try to look at everybody in the crowd from every corner, from front of the stage to the back of the stage, to the back of the venue. We'll try to connect with, because she emphasized on owning the stage and owning the venue.
So we understand now from that moment, you pulled a lot, you learned a lot in those early years. Now, at what point on the journey did you meet up with Capleton, and how did he impact or influence your career?
Well, it was before, because remember, I grew up from the same community. I went to school with his brothers and his sisters. And he and my uncle, them grew up, my age group. So I met him way before from my girls' school at Tarrant when he used to come to the community. But I started coming around in that time, 17, 18, through the journey of coming to rehearsals, going to perform for our red label. And he gave me the invite to stay around.
Okay.
So, after being invited to stay around now, being around David House, I learned the different methods of how writing, the different methods of writing. You have the punchline first writing, you have the intro first, then the punchline writing, you have the verse first writing, you have 16-bar verse, you have the 8-bar verse. The methods, I started meeting producers of different levels. Them time, Big Man Steely and Clevie, them forward, come check it down, and Preston Daly from Zip. Different people have different genres, different levels, different heights. And as I said before, I like to sit and observe and absorb. So I absorbed most of that.
And you did that.
What I could.
So when we met Munga on a Rebel, you already had locks. So talk to us as it relates to when you found Rastafari and started that journey.
Started to inquire about Rastafari since I was about 12. I used to read.
Oh, wow.
And I'm somewhat prejudiced, maybe, if I could say so, on this platform, because I think my God is black. I think everything came from black. I think everything derives from black. I think black is the foundation. I think we have been tricked on the value of our skin color or hair and or indigenous history. So yes, there was a bit of racism in, if I could say so, in my observation. So I thought, if Israel's king is Israel's God, then my king is
Munga, are you hearing me? All right. I think we may have lost Munga right there. So we'll try to get that fixed.
And in this Gideon, I will always play my.
All right. So Munga is back with us. Boy, this road to success full of roadblocks, see? Munga, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Munga?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man, I can hear you. I
Yes,
can hear you.
Can
Yes,
you hear me?
yes, I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
hear
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Me say,
The phone
boy, this
over.
okay, me say, boy, this a road to success. You're full of peer roadblocks, but we'll go through.
And all right, that's how we don't get to, you know.
Yeah, so you are in the process now of talking about, your Rastafarian faith, and it is something that you found as early as the age of 12. So let's get to that. Let's
Yes.
continue.
So after I was doing readings, I was listening to elders' reasonings and reading and observation. So a little bit of bias, a little bit of racism developed, so to speak. Because I realized this, that let's call ourselves brown people, black people, are the only people that aren't racist, aren't strong towards their nationality, their heritage. We are the only set of people that don't hand over legacies to our children and them type of something. Then observation of Rastafari and Marcus Garvey teachings, and I went to Bobo Head and I heard about Emmanuel. So I had my last haircut at 16 years old at 1996. And I've been growing my locks ever since. And I've been giving thanks and praises to Rastafari ever since.
So with this deep knowledge and understanding of
Right.
Rastafari, though, Munga, with your deep roots, how do you reconcile the spiritual values of the faith with your raw and often gritty lyrics?
Everybody feel
Okay, so here is a thing in society. Leading faith, so to speak, in the world. It was done by crusades. It was done with violence. It was done with physical violence. It was done with force. So, teaching us to be subtle, so to speak, with righteousness. I think it's a trick. I see it as a big trick. It's tricking the opponent, and you're setting the playing field of the fight, but the fight not even then. So yeah, you have to have rebels. You have to have warriors. You have to have new gangsters.
I hear it. Hence you coining the term gangster ras. When that was kind of like somewhat taboo. I think it was the very first time we hearing like even a Rasta man refer to themselves as gangster per se.
Right. But we have seen the Bob Marley and the Peter Tosh live that. So it was a matter of wording. And that's a word used,
Yeah,
So
gangster
them say
versus
warrior.
rebel.
Them say warrior and them say rebel. No, I knew it would be controversial to say gangster ras. I was called so by people. Some of us acknowledge what people call me.
And did you ever find yourself like having to define repeatedly, like when you say gangster ras, like you're not preaching or endorsing any sort of violence? Was it a case where you had to repeatedly?
Like when RFM called me and asked me to explain, but for a regular day, I'm not open about an explanation. And
Yes.
I mean,
No, let's talk about let's talk about even developing your style. Was that like deliberately for you? Because like you said, you know, you kind of you absorb like a lot of things. So was this intentional from jump?
Yes and no. Because one of my first influencers, he told me to DJ in a just DJ in a regular tone. DJ with a regular tone. Then you manipulate that tone. So I was influenced by a lot of pop music, a lot of rap music, as well as a lot of OG reggae, as you know, Peter Tosh, the Bob, the Bunny. But as I said, I was influenced by a lot of pop, a lot of rap. Anita Baker is one of my artists. Sade is one of my artists, one of my big influences. So that I'm all alone, I love you, baby.
But
Them sound, isn't it? Sade, Swedish Taboo, those breathy sounds were influential to me. Then you know the lyrical flow from the Tupac, as you know, my June man, Biggie Small is in my June man. You know, as a June man myself, I was influenced by those songs. Then you have Bounty Killer them now and the Beanie them and the Kiapatan them and the Sigla them. So mixing that pot together and flinging one piece of Peter upon the top. You get Munga Honorable Gangsters.
so give it. Sorry, go ahead.
Where you want, baby? Give what?
No, yeah. Me did I say give it something now. Remind the people them no. Give it a little thing.
Girl, them say we tease and we tease them shot. Plus when it's big and it's sneak as much. See, let's see, I jam me teeth, I can watch. Roll out a weed them and watch. Clean and fresh. In them with class with straight jeans and mesh. Button up shirt full of seam and press. Louis the Gucci, your guest. The ox because it's full of clothes, but we still love every brand, every color, every type, every Adidas, every all-star, every night. Green, blue, yellow, white.
Yes. All right, Munga, we are coming up on Cashpot, so we're going to break for that. Don't go anywhere. Stick and stay.
Oxymaster make everything cleaner.
The time by Oxymaster, the stain blaster is...
It is
IRFM on Sunday, IRFM on Monday, IRFM on Tuesday, IRFM on Wednesday, IRFM on Thursday. I say on Friday is IRFM and on Saturday is IRFM. And you have a next day?
on this station. Supreme Ventures, making winners every day.
That was the lunchtime top draw dollars, pick 2, pick 3, pick 4, hot pick and cash pot draws. Congratulations to all of today's winners. Join us again at 3 p.m. for another chance to win in hot pick and cash pot special pot draws. Welcome to the Auto Loan Hour, brought to you by Sagicor Bank, the loan that makes your dream car affordable and ownable with up to 100% financing. If you're just joining us, we are on the road to success and we're journeying with none other than Munga Honorable. And we had to pivot a bit, so now Munga is joining us on the phone. So for more clarity, Munga, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you there.
All right. Sounding strong and much better. Yeah. All right. So, before the cash pot break, we were basically talking about, your signature sound. And I remember, you once said, I think it was in 2006, that your flipping rhymes makes you the pioneer of trap dancehall. Yet the genre seems to credit newer artists more loudly. Why?
I don't know why. And at a point to a level, I don't think I sought credit. I don't think credit was a thing that I sought for any of the trends that set in dancehall. Being the rust with this flair, being the one that brought in the sound of auto-tune, being the one that brought, as you say, pioneered trap in the music. I don't think I reached for accreditation for these things. I just did them. I just lived them. I'm just them.
Mm-hmm. And even auto-tune, as you mentioned it, that is such an interesting conversation because I know, T-Pain managed to have it replicated in his microphone. Is that something that you have ever feared? Like, being in the studio is one thing, but then being on stage, you have to replicate the sound. Was that ever a challenge for you? A challenge? No. It was a critique. It was a point of critique that I had to do. But it was something that I knew. Here the idea of auto-tune come about to me, Kishima. When I was writing flipping rhymes, I was high as a kite, and I was sitting right by the fan. No, this was in 2004, I think. So the moment I was writing in 2004, an incident occurred where the fan flanged on my voice, and it reminded me of when I was a child, about 7, 8, 9, 10, when you were hot and you talked beside the fan and the fan go right? So when I got a chance to record flipping rhymes, I asked Don Corleone if he could replicate that sound. And he opened App Store and he downloaded Autotune instantly then and there. And we tried the sound and it worked. So we just continue to use it. But that's where the original idea came from, the fan talking in the fan. So I wanted that song, Flipping Rhymes, to have that sound. And it just stuck on everything else. Interesting story. But Munga, flipping rhymes like we're talking about, Bad from a Barn and Prayer, each of these hits showcase a different side of you.
Yes, they do.
How do you decide which message or mood to bring, and especially as a conscious Rastafarian in the process?
The day, the feeling, and the rhythm. All these components decide what the song becomes. Because I think every artist express them emotion and point of view in them lyrics, in them sound and them melodies. So I wrote the prior 2 weeks after recording. Them boy, they no bad like I. Now, 3 times like, and that started playing on the radio. And then I did flipping rhymes, and that started playing on the radio. And I saw a whole dynamic change in my life, basically one weekend.
Wow.
So the thankfulness came, and I sat and I took a moment to, to give out.
Expound a little bit on that dynamic of which you speak, Munga, to say how your life changed in one weekend.
Well, as you may have heard, or you know, you've spoken before. Remember me, I come from Red Label Contest. I come from country, come a town, Red Label Contest. Them the round Cape Town, we have to see all of the we had stage show them. At one point, I was an open act a part of David House Entourage, meeting new producers, all this thing and now. And then this weekend, I recorded Bad Like I. On Thursday, it was played. DJ Wayne played Saturday, and he played Friday, and he played Saturday. And I made my first dub plate money on Sunday.
Wow.
And then I started getting more calls on Monday, Tuesday. And when I get stage show invite, all the things them that you were either preach about or you think about so could happen with this started happening in one weekend. So by the next 2 weeks, I was absorbing all that energy, and I said to myself, I have to give thanks. And I sat.
Wow.
The first words that came to me were, if I ever forget it, and then I started to cry. So my ball one time I write this song, and when Dan, I called Dan and I said, Dan, hear the melody here. And I sang the melody to him. He said, call me back. He said, give me 5 minutes and call me back. And I said, I'm not telling about call me back, and I try again. And he called me back in 5 minutes, and he said, sing it again. But I didn't realize that he had gone for the recorder. So when you call back, he had the recorder on the other end of the phone. So when we sing the melody, he recorded it on the other end of the phone. Then he went into the studio and he finished construct the rhythm. He called back about half hour and he said, listen to this, and I'm in my ear. Tip, 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 tip. Ball, me start ball again.
Wow.
He said, all right, come check me at the studio like 2 days later. I'm going to go check him. When I went there was Craig from Voicemail. Big up Craig anyway, I'm there. Big up to Kevin C and Speed. I know everything go. R.I.P. to the next G. And I heard the rhythm live for the first time. I was going to record that same day. And I cried through the whole session. If you listen to the breathiness of the song, you could probably hear that I was crying.
Wow. But that's an interesting story and very powerful story too, Munga, because, people often say music definitely can influence people. And here it is, when you're singing prayer, you're saying that it brought you to tears. What are your views on the notion that music is just mere art and it doesn't really influence people? Where do you stand with that?
No, the notion is, the fact is, art imitates life, and then the cycle goes around, right? For example, we were taught that everything that David in the Bible did in Israel, he did with a band. Everything that he did, whether it was war, whether it was peace, he did with music. He did with music surrounding it. He did with a musical background. We were taught that in heaven, the angels sang. So the music, the lyrics in the music is most likely speaking about something that happened or something that someone wants to happen. True?
Well, the first time I get a notion like me, I tell you, me feel like my bad was when I listen to my bad from my band, right? And that was one of your songs. And then I think in your music video, you were standing on top of a car and all of that. And me say, it's like when you're singing it.
You had already probably felt that you were bad or brave or tough. Already, the music just resonates to that. It was already in you, in your thought. The music couldn't put it in you if it never in you. The music resonate or bring it out.
No, me listen to it and I did feel a vibe, Munga. Me listen to your song and then I feel the vibe and I feel like...
it pulled out what was in you. The music pulled out what was it. It was like a fertilizer to your
Sure.
It was like a fertilizer to your bravery, you know what I mean? Right. So
But you know, sorry, go ahead.
if when Bob Marley sang One Love, it resonated to all our people where did want one love, that was living in one love.
I hear you. I hear you, Munga. I hear you. And I see that you stand on what you stand on. And, you know, people, I believe that music in itself is so powerful. And, you know, it can definitely change your mood. It can inspire you, whether to do negative or positive. And I know you're saying that these are things where more likely would be embedded in somebody. But say, for example, somebody is not used to the notion of giving gratitude, and listening to prayer, for example, is almost like it's a teachable moment. Like listening to your song, I feel like, oh boy, you know, if I ever forget to give thanks, Jah, please remind me. So I do believe that music
what you
influence actions.
Know what you said, darling. Someone is not used to. Are you saying that that person genuinely did not know any at all that gratitude existed, or the person is not used to?
Maybe that person didn't even know that gratitude existed, or it's a thing. Like music also teaches people, you know, it can be a way of life for some as well.
That's where it becomes a teacher. That's where music becomes a teacher. But that teacher is also teaching something that someone taught. So that message is already imitating a life and teaching it to a life. Some still tell us it come from, it already in your music just resonated. It just coincide.
No.
Amplified.
We could go on and on with this, and I could find more ways to poke hole in your reasoning. But for the interest of time, we're going to move on. Because, you know, listening to your story, though, Munga, listening to your journey, it's almost as if, you know, it was smooth sailing for you, because since you were 18, you found yourself in a position around the right people, the Lantoinette Steins, you know, the Rough Cut Band, and then Don Carleon and that type of thing. What were some of the challenges that you experienced in music, trying to get your name out there, trying to get your foot into the industry?
The challenges. Learning the different ways to approach. Like when we are come from, we never know you have to do audition, and we weren't given it in the form of an audition. Yeah. And every producers in any time they never just get up and go vice or you just give opportunities weren't just given out. You had to impress and earn that. You say it sounded smooth, and probably I me treat it smooth, or probably I me just look on it smooth, because I'm not a complainative person, you know. You never see me during the course of my career. You never see me in the media, social media, any platform, I complain about any fight, any situation, because we know no one said it was going to be easy, you know. Captain did sing one song like that too. No one said it was going to be easy. And then old people tell us, tomorrow no promise. So I learned from a younger age to not be complainative, but to learn, to observe, and to learn from almost every situation. So that is why it sounded like I was always in school. I was always just learning. Whenever I take it as a battle, whenever I take it as a burden. Because I have an idea whether it's a 9 to 5 or is music or is you're doing your own self-employment type of thing. The result comes from what you put in it, you know. the payment come from the amount of work, the amount of time that you invested in it. So yeah, I might make this journey sound smooth, but it's probably because of the fact that I'm more grateful for the wins and the changes than the time I'm going to spend worrying about what I had to go through to get here.
Makes sense.
The aim was to get here.
No,
So you see, celebrate.
no, Munga. I know in 2020, you blasted industry gatekeepers who criticized the new direction of dancehall music. Now, 5 years later, do you still feel the same way, or has your perspective shifted with how the genre has evolved?
The genre has been evolving and will always keep evolving, especially according to its fan base, its users. And every 10 years, I think the sound change. Every 10 year, the era change, because every 10 years, a new generation emerges with new perspectives and new point of views. But so the same auto-tune sound where them bash me for is what them little youth are reside in. What are we going to do? Spend our time as say them are the wrong? It couldn't stay the same. It couldn't stay the same, you know. The cycle has to ride out until it goes forward to the original. But it can't just stay one way eternal.
Change is inevitable.
We'll never see anything at all. Just not even a rock, not even a stone out of your front of your yard, Kishima. You never see it just stay so. Dirt grew up on it, mass grew up on it. It goes through a cycle, and then at some point through the same year, it comes back to that natural form of just being a rock, and then that cycle goes on again. True or true, Mama?
True.
So
No.
the tempo will change, the sound will change, it will grow, and then it will forward to the original. One cycle. My view.
There is currently like talks about unity in the dancehall. Do you think there is enough collaboration or too much competition? And what do you feel about the unity that you're seeing now? You feel like it's real or it is orchestrated?
No, man, Jamaican dancehall artists and the people can't fake much, you know. If they see them deal for true. Whenever the disagreement come up and you see them split the true. Them live real, man. And almost everybody right out here right now are associated. We probably no, everybody no cook and drink out the same plate and drink. Everybody has a circle and squad. But we don't see any dancehall issues between artists and producers where it cost nobody life and it cost nobody safety and it cost nobody nothing. The people, it's a supply and demand. To me, it's a supply and demand thing, you know. So everybody has supply. Everybody has supply. They feed the market, and the fans are taking it as it is.
No. Recently, the Trinidad promoter, he basically came out and, kind of reveal how much Cartel's fee is, $1.35 million US. As an entertainer yourself.
Reach that in the man. You have to come do that, man.
Right. So my question to you is like, if you feel as an entertainer yourself, if you feel like that is, like poor business etiquette.
Yeah, man. That must come out on it. That must come out in the public, man. That's right away and put himself on a scrutiny.
No, speaking about
that's the same government asking where he get that.
Exactly. Now, speaking about scrutiny, though, you know, after 7 years, we realized that your case in connection with the 2017 murder, you know, in murder charge involving Mr. Vegas's nephew, it still lingers. I know the matter is still before the court,
Yes.
but what's the latest with the situation in terms of what you can say?
As you know, there's not much I can say. But what was said in the media, I think, if I can remember properly what was said in the media, is that there is unavailability of a lot of things, a lot of evidence, witnesses, such and such. I have been humbly waiting for this process to end, to go through and to end and to be in the clear and to be free to do what I need to do, basically. My travel settings have been limited for the last 8 years.
Wow.
I was given the chance to travel to some small islands in the 2019 section, but as you know, that's a heavy penalty to pay in at the same break. So it's been strenuous on the finances, it's been strenuous on the
Earnings.
work, it's been straining on the livelihood, but I've tried to maintain my sanity in such a sense. I've tried to maintain a positive outlook, a positive look. I mean, I will tell myself I'm too mad after losing more weight over this. You know?
Eh.
You know what I mean? Yes, and just to keep up my positive energy. I didn't take this on for myself, you know. From the injury to the charge, I didn't do this all to myself, you know, Kishida. But my first day, I bear it out, and we're hoping for the best result.
Yeah. What's that balance like for you, though? Because, you know, hearing you just outline all those things, I also get this level of heaviness because, you know, you're talking about how this situation is impacting your life in real time in terms of, you know, your ability to travel. As a musician, that's a part of what you do as an artist. And also, you know, it puts a damper on your earning potential. What's that balance like for you, even as it relates to maintaining your sanity? 8 years is no small feat and still pending.
So, if as I say, I don't want to say too much, but I recall when the judge said at one point that a child that would start attending, he said a child that was born in the time that this case had begun would be going to primary school, no?
Wow.
You know what I mean? My child finished primary school and is going to... My child changed school during the course of this.
Wow. Intense. Can you talk to us about like your philanthropic work? You know, I know you're involved in giving back and those type of things as well.
Well, for the most recent part, that the Hilltop Records Foundation settings has also been affected by all this. But on a regular, I would, as you know, retreats for back to school are mandatory. We try to do those. Giving back books, giving back bags. So, you know, automatically that helps with a mother or a father going back to school. So he can take out a bag or a few books for the book list. You know what I say? Um, you know, the last time I did a project to construct and paint the school wall for my primary school. That's in Islington, Hillside Primary. We had plans to do some work on the community center. But as we say again, this situation is hindering a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. As you mentioned, Hilltop, though, with Hilltop Records, what are you presently working on, and are you mentoring any artists at the moment?
At the moment, as far as mentoring, I extend an open arm to, first of all, artists from my diaspora, my St. Mary, let me say the St. Mary diaspora.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do some work with Swaz. I don't know if you know that name. He's from the Old Serious Rockabella side. I've done some work with Natural Flames. He's from Islington. When I will just release a new song called Rich Behavior in collaboration with a young producer from the community.
Mm-hmm.
Tajay Records. Your LJ, big up yourself in the way there. So, Tajay Records consists of Tajay, that's Brammy, and Jodes, that's Draco Jodes, at Draco Jodes. So those are two little young individuals from my community that chose to do production, beat making and production. So what I did is I got a beat from them and we co-produced one of my latest tracks entitled Rich Behavior. It was released last week, Friday, via 1 RPM on all platforms. Video pending to be released anytime soon. So as far as working with artists, I also work with producers to give them that exposure. And selected them, they don't know a thing in I place HQ, SK, no I place thing. So I really trying to push out the next artist from outer St. Mary, first of all.
Okay, that's your focus. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because after Cabra Capleton, then it was me from the era that made a significant mark. So I say, if we can assist in the other one going out. ASAP.
All right, so, sounds like a good mission. We are on the button though, Munga. So let's talk about Munga Honorable, the family man. Married with children.
Father of 4, 1 son, 3 daughters. I don't know wildlife them they are about. So half of the road is overseas, half is in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
I try to be a very close father to my daughters. The moment I heartbeat them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, looking at your journey though, Munga, you know, what would you consider your biggest contribution to dancehall and ultimately the Jamaican culture?
Well, good question. I never considered that. And I never thought of that much. For the top, I could say sound.
Mm-hmm.
The blended sound of, because before me, I don't think we had a lot of, what you call it, Sing J or melodious DJing. I don't think we had a lot of that in the dancehall before me.
We did have a few.
Yeah.
We had some. But yeah. I do get what you're saying in terms of your flavor and how you merge the reggae, hip hop, dancehall type of vibe.
Right.
But when you go Sing J, you go buck up in a one brick wall. Cause we did have them there.
Right. Then No, big man think that era came with us. That era came with Munga and Movado. That even that.
But in truth, you had Singj like before Movado, because they did have those Singjs where you used to go in at the dance and I do them Singj thing, pon the rhythm live.
That means they never connect. We are talking about we connect now, Mama. We are talking about we connect now.
Then they connect one. I threw the name slip me right
Sing
now.
back on it. You can't sing back on it. We didn't connect.
It did connect. It did connect, Munga. Actually, we can't remember the name right now, but it did connect because I've done some research on it before. Yes.
Actually, that man. We revolutionize the sound.
Yes. No, that we can work with. No, in closing though, Munga, we're all on different journeys and success can look different for everyone. But for you, what does Munga Honorable define success as at this stage of your life and career?
For all the places that my vocals and my writing has brought me. I've been to Japan, where I think only few Jamaican artists, especially this era, can claim. I stood under the arch of the St. Louis Arch one time after watching it on TV. So that's the places, a lot of places that music has brought me. It's profound enough to say, be thankful.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Munga, thank you so much. This didn't go exactly how we planned it, but still grateful that it happened nonetheless. And, you took the time out to make it work. I appreciate it.
Harry called me and I can make it work, man. One phone call, man. I want
to know.
Irie FM, reach out to music, reach out to beats, reach out to road, reach out to streets, reach out to yard, reach out to seeds, reach out to these. Kishima then reach out to. Irie FM, reach out to. Hilltop, Irie FM, road to success. I want to know.
Wow. Thank you so much, Munga. We wish you all the best.
Same, Mama. Thank you.
All right. So, of course, that was Road to Success, the journey with Munga Honorable. Stick and stay. See you on the flip side of this break.
The music.